Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. My name is Robbie Turner and I'm a student here at Purdue University. I'm joined by my good friend and colleague Shiraz Khan. He's a master's student here at Purdue University. He's originally from Bangalore, India. Today I'm going to be interviewing him, asking him some questions about adjustments he's making to come to the US. So what would you say was the hardest part of adjusting to US culture?
I guess the hardest part of adjusting to a new culture is to find friends. When it comes to like the baristas and the cashiers, you can kind of, they're always polite to you and they're trying to make you feel welcome. But like with people, if you want to get to know someone in like at a deep and emotional level, then it can be, the culture can be a barrier. I think all of the friends that I made at Purdue were friends I made at Purdue Vinyl Club. I just went to the club meetings because I thought it'd be a good place to find people with similar interest in music or taste in music, and that's what ended up happening. Yeah, it just goes to show that like no matter how culturally different you are, if you've had similar upbringings in terms of the media you've consumed or the flavor of humor that's on the internet, that sort of transcends like any differences that like we have in terms of upbringing or anything of that sort.
So do you think there's been aspects of your personality that have changed since you've come to the US?
Yeah, I think India does a bad job with like how it treats like the younger population, because you're policed a lot and you're expected to be a certain way. So coming to the US, it's probably the first time I wasn't under scrutiny. So I've been able to be like a whole new version of me.
How often do you keep in touch with people back home?
During my first year in the US, I was in a long distance relationship with someone, and at that point it was like I was sharing every single thing with her, and literally everything that happened like on a day-to-day basis. I'd like either text her about it or we'd talk on the phone for hours. But I think that was bad for me, because I started using that as a crutch, and while I was in that whole process, it was hard to find new friends and like have new experiences, because like everything went back to, you know, me thinking about our relationship. So once that ended, I feel like it did me a lot of good, because now I could just be like one version of myself. I didn't have to like back and forth all of my experiences with someone, and I could just like be in the moment and sort of like experience everything for myself and not like have someone to relay that to. I've been making a point for myself to like not be too much in contact with any of my friends back home, but we still text like thrice, 4 times a week. So it's still a pretty good and meaningful friendship that's going to last a really long time, but at the same time, it's not holding me back from making new friends here.
But family, I'm sure, though, you do keep in contact with them relatively often, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, so I guess family is a different thing, because you've grown up around them, and like, yeah, you don't have to put in any energy while you're talking to them. At least it's that way for me. I know it's different for like a lot of people with their parents. With my mom, I can have her on video call, like while I'm around the house, while I'm cooking, and it's like no one else is there. I'm still being myself. I feel like family is a different thing, because again, it's a low energy thing, and you don't need to put in effort.
What elements of, you know, culture back home do you miss that you wish you could find in United States culture?
I don't want to say food, because I feel like that's a stereotype. I don't really miss Indian food. I like American food a lot. I like bacon a lot. I never had bacon before I came here. I like, yeah, I like a lot of American food. So I don't know if I miss Indian food as much as you'd expect an Indian to miss Indian food. I guess coming from a big Indian city, I feel like West Lafayette doesn't have much to do. India is just like really populated and really dense in that way. You're never by yourself, and you don't, there's a kind of loneliness that's prevalent around here. I don't know if that's because it's the Midwest or because it's like a student town. But yeah, I kind of miss the presence of like a lot of people around me.
Yeah, I think you're onto something about the individuality of maybe the US culture leading to a sense of loneliness and isolation.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably it. It's a very individualist culture.
But on the flip side, what elements of maybe culture in the United States have you found that you either prefer or do you think are missing in culture back home in India?
I like how much people value the working class here. I like how well, at least on paper, how well like waitresses, baristas are treated. Probably not in terms of like pay and whatever, because I know they rely on tips, but it just in terms of how their interaction with the customers are, like how polite everyone is to each other. And I know politeness can kind of be a facade thing sometimes, but at the same time, just to have like people be polite to you all day kind of like reflects positively on like your emotional health is what I think. Because I know in India, people can be pretty curt with people behind counters like cashiers, yeah, basically the working class. And I like that it's not the case here.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you very much for taking part and answering those questions. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. Be sure to catch us next week. We'll be tuning in around the same time. See ya.